Well, I'm going to read the poem Fern Hill. Behind me on the wall is a Welsh Arts Council poster that was published back in the 1980s. With the poem, the text of the poem on it. The Welsh Arts Council was doing a lot of that in those days. And visually, they have an image of Dylan as a young boy, 11 or 12 there. You can see him by the horse. He wasn't known for his athleticism, but that's taken from a photo of him at a track meet when he was in primary school in Swansea. It's ironic, I think, given his lack of athletic or sports activity, that the most famous book on American baseball, probably, The Boys of Summer by Roger Kahn, which was published in 1972 about the Brooklyn Dodgers. And the Brooklyn Dodgers up to 1955, then it traces the life of Roy Campanella and Jackie Robinson and others after that time. It was taken from Dylan's poem, The Boys of Summer. I see the boys of summer in their ruin lay the gold tithings barren, setting no store by harvest, freeze the soils. And when the Welsh National Rugby Union was celebrating its centennial in 1981, they published an official history, and they titled it Fields of Praise, which is a phrase from Fern Hill, which you'll see. So he kind of has, Dylan's poetry has kind of a permanent place in the sports mythology of the national games of both the United States and Wales. When I was at Trinity College of the University of Wales, it's located in the town of Carmarthen, which is the oldest town in Wales, which is out 30 miles west of Swansea, where Dylan grew up, and it's in the center of what the Welsh now call the Bro Dylan. Bro is a Welsh word which translates as region, but in Welsh, to form the possessive, you don't have an apostrophe S like you do in English. You just tack the name of the possessor onto the object possessed. So it becomes Bro Dylan, which seems a lot stronger to me than calling it Dylan's country or Dylan's region. There's a stronger sense of possession there, and it's quite a thing to spend a lot of time in that country if you know Dylan's poetry, because you just see everywhere sources of his imagery. And I lived in the little village of Clonstefan, where Dylan, with which he was familiar, where he used to go drinking sometimes. And I had a close friend and colleague at the college whose father ran a little taxi service in Clonstefan all those years ago. And he used to tell the American students who would come to the college when he lectured to them on Dylan Thomas that his claim to fame was that Dylan Thomas had once thrown up in the back of his father's taxi. But anyway, on the way to and from the college, I used to pass Fern Hill Farm twice a day at least, and I reckon over 25 years I must have driven past Fern Hill Farm about 5,000 times. So this is Fern Hill. Now as I was young and easy under the apple boughs about the lilting house, and happy as the grass was green, the night above the dingle starry, time let me hail and climb golden in the heydays of his eyes, and honored among wagons I was prince of the apple towns, and once below a time I lordly had the trees and leaves trail with daisies and barley down the rivers of the windfall light. And as I was green and carefree, famous among the barns about the happy yard, and singing as the farm was home, in the sun that is young once only, time let me play and be golden in the mercy of his means. And green and golden I was huntsman and herdsman, the calves sang to my horn, the foxes on the hills barked clear and cold, and the Sabbath rang slowly in the pebbles of the holy streams. All the sun long it was running, it was lovely, the hay fields high as the house, the tunes from the chimneys, it was air and playing, lovely and watery and fire green as grass. And nightly under the simple stars as I rode to sleep, the owls were bearing the farm away. All the moon long I heard, blessed among stables, the night jars flying with the ricks, and the horses flashing into the dark. And then to awake, and the farm like a wanderer white with the dew come back, the cock on his shoulder. It was all shining, it was Adam and maiden, the sky gathered again, and the sun grew round that very day. So it must have been after the birth of the simple light, in the first spinning place, the spellbound horses walking warm out of the whinnying green stable onto the fields of praise. And honored among foxes and pheasants by the gay house under the new-made clouds, and happy as the heart was long, in the sun born over and over, I ran my heedless ways. My wishes raced through the house-high hay, and nothing I cared at my sky-blue trays that time allows in all his tuneful turnings, so few and such morning songs, before the children green and golden follow him out of grace. Nothing I cared in the lamb-white days that time would take me up to the swallow-thronged loft by the shadow of my hand, in the moon that is always rising, nor that riding to sleep I should hear him fly with the high fields and wake to the farm forever fled from the childless land. Oh, as I was young and easy in the mercy of his means, time held me green and dying, though I sang in my chains like the sea.